Shalom to my brothers and sisters in the body of Yahushua HaMashiach. And the title of this lesson is Esau and Edom. History confirms the word and their kingdom, which is part 3. Okay. I do recommend that you do watch part 1 and part 2 to understand the rest of this lesson. Okay. So now, my brothers and sisters, I have a special treat for you in this video about another mystery that most people are not talking about. Only I know one brother is talking about this that has been letting the whole world know. So I'm going to say that special treat for last. However, I would like to first open up with some scriptures first. I always like to read this scripture. Okay. And this is 2nd Ezra, chapter 6, and we're going to read verse 8 through 9. And I know you're probably thinking, well, you read that in the last two videos. And the reason why I read is because my people are not really understanding that we got to understand these prophecies about Jacob and Esau, because it does matter. If you don't understand these prophecies, then you're not going to understand the end time prophecies, and you're not going to understand that Yahuwah has not forgotten about Israel. I mean, everything is really centered around Israel. Think about it. If Israel didn't fall, in other words, if they didn't reject the Christ, then the Gentiles couldn't come in. Also, Israel was chosen to be the nation to receive the covenant in the earthly realm, because the Most High wanted a nation to himself in the earthly realm to worship him. And because of what our forefather did, that's why he chose Israel. Because of the other nations and their forefathers, they chose not to serve him. So that's why he gave them over unto the angels, Satan and his angels. So this is why I keep reading this verse, because I don't think people realize how important it really is to understand the prophecies that pertain to Esau as well as to Jacob, who are the children of Israel today. So let's open up 2nd Ezra chapter 6, verse 7. Then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the times, and when shall the end of the first and the beginning of it that shall follow it? And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So let's get to the nitty gritty. We are going to the book of Daniel, chapter 11, and we're going to start at verse 30, because now we begin to understand about the Roman Empire. Again, this is one of the empires of Esau kingdom. And I'm going to read to you the summary of chapter 11, which is starting at verse 30 here. Let me get my cursor so you can see where I'm starting. So this is dealing with the invasion and the tyranny of the Romans. Okay. Verse 30. For these ships of Chittim shall come against him. Therefore he shall be grieved and return and have indignation against the holy covenant. So shall he do, he shall even return and have intelligence with them that forsake the holy covenant. So here we know the word Shittim is Rome. And to get the history of how my brother Esau has mixed with Shittim, which are the sons of Japhet, you need to read the book of Jasper, okay? But let's keep going so we can understand more about this word Shittim. All right, it is a Hebrew word for the island of Cyprus. You can find it in Isaiah chapter 23, verse 1 and verse 12, Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 10, and Ezekiel chapter 27, verse 6. Josephus, the Jew historian, refers Cyprus as the item of Sethima, because it was possessed by Sethimus. Today it is now called Cyprus. Then all items and the greatest part of the sea coast was named Shittim, a name by the Hebrews which is called Kittim. The city of Citius, or Cityon, on Cyprus seems to have given its name to the island. Rome is referred as ships of Shittim in Numbers chapter 24 and 24 and Daniel chapter 11 verse 30. The original descendants of Shittim, which is also known as Kittim, were the descendants of Javan. Okay? And you can find that in Genesis chapter 10 verse 4, 1 Chronicles chapter 1 verse 7. So this is dealing with the sons of Japheth. So remember, my brother Edom has mixed among the sons of Japheth. And I highly recommend that you watch the video that pertains that Edom can be found today, because it gives you more detailed insight on how my brother Edom has mixed among the other nations. All right, let's read the next line. Remember, Shittim, Chettiim, is Macedonia. So that's what I'm saying here. It's not the same word, okay, as the word we just read. They are not Shittim, Kittim, okay, which is written in 1 Maccabees chapter 1 and 1. Sittims, Citims, are Macedonians, okay? And you can find that in 1 Maccabees chapter 8, verse 5. Now, dealing with the prophecy from Numbers chapter 24, verse 24. And ships shall come from the coast of Shittim, ships of Kittim, which is Rome, all right, because it's under the Roman Empire, and shall afflict Asher, who are the sons of Shem, the Assyrians, which can be found in Genesis chapter 10, verse 22, 1 Chronicles chapter 1, verse 17. And we'll find out from that Nineveh was built in Assyria, which is the city of Nimrod. And you can find that in Genesis chapter 10, verse 8 through 10. And Nineveh was also destroyed, which has fulfilled prophecy. And you can read about that prophecy in the book of Tobit, chapter 14, verse 1 through 8, and verse 15. So let me start from the top and reread again. And ships shall come from the coast of Shittim, and shall afflict Asher, and shall afflict Eber. And we know Eber is the original is the descendant of Shem, who was classified as a Hebrew. And we can find that in Genesis chapter 10, verse 21, verse 24 through 32. And shall afflict Eber, and he also shall perish forever. So the he in that verse is referring to the king of Rome, which is Satan. Note, today these mighty empires, capitals, has been laid in ruins for thousands and thousands of years. They are Tyre, which is also known as the merchant of merchants, which America has in common with. When you read, I think, Revelations chapter 18 or 17, but I really want to say it's 18. Also Thebes, Nineveh, and Babylon. So these ancient cities have been destroyed, and their ruins can be found today, which also fulfill the prophecies when you read the Bible. Okay. Also, he says him, dealing with the verse in 30, is talking about Antiochus the fourth Epiphanes, the son of King Antiochus the third the Great. Okay. Also, the ships of Shittim, that's in verse 30, is dealing with during the Sixth Syrian War from 170 to 168 BC, when King Antiochus Epiphanes launched a second attack on Egypt, the Roman Senate sent Gaius Populus Laenas, a consul of the Roman Republic, and their army to stop Antiochus from attacking Egypt. He was ordered to withdraw his attack and to leave Egypt, or war will be declared. Antiochus obeyed and withdrew his forces that day. This ended the Sixth Syrian War. Ptolemy VI Philometor, the son of Ptolemy V Epiphanes, and Cleopatra I, who was the daughter of Antiochus III the Great, was the king of Egypt during the time of this attack. Okay. Them in the verse of 30 is pertaining to the Hebrew Israelites. For Jason, the brother of Ananias the high priest, Menelaus, and etc., You can read it in First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 10 through 15, and Second Maccabees chapter 4, verses 1 through 5. So them in the verse of 30 is referring to the Hebrew Israelites. Now the Holy Covenant in verse 30 is referring to the covenant that the Most High made in agreement with the Hebrew Israelites that we call today the law. And you can read about that in Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse 1 through 3, and Exodus chapter 19, verse 5. Okay? Let me get this up a little bit higher. Now the indignation in verse 30 is pertaining to this. Antiochus attacked Jerusalem and the temple in 130 and 143. In the 143rd year of the reign of the king of the kingdom of the Greeks, or the Seleucid Empire. In other words, it was in 169 BC when this happened. So you can find that in First Maccabees chapter 1, verses 20 through 63, Second Maccabees chapter 5, verse 1 to 27. And intelligent with them, you can find that explanation in First Maccabees chapter 1, verses 41 to 43, for some of the Jews becoming Hellenistic. In other words, they sold out to the enemy and followed the enemy ways and custom. Now for verse 31. An arm shall stand on his part, and they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength, and shall take away the daily sacrifice, and they shall place the abomination that make desolate. So arms shall stand on his part, and that part is referring to the Seleucid kingdom, and his army. Okay, so that part is referring to his army. Then the part where you see in the verse where it said, shall stand on his part, that is referring to the province Judea. Now the part that's dealing with, hold on, let me get rid of this. There we go. Now the part that's dealing with they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength, you can find it in First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 46, for idols and sacrificing unclean beasts. That was an abomination. That was a no-no in the Holy Temple. And the part that deals with that they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength, that is referring to Jerusalem and Mount Zion. And Mount Zion is the city of David. And read Isaiah chapter 64, verse 10. And I believe it's 2 Samuel chapter 5 that will also show you that Zion is the city of David as well. Now for that verse, the abomination of desolation set up and the daily sacrifice taken away. So let's get more insight on what that means when Antiochus came on the scene. Take away the daily sacrifice. First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 45. Forbidden to make burnt offerings, sacrifice, and drink offerings in the temple and profane the Sabbath and festival days. Okay? So those things they was forbidden. They couldn't make burnt offerings, sacrifices, or drink offerings in the holy temple. And they, the Greeks, Grecians, profaned the Sabbath and holy feast days. Number 2, First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 54. Now the 15th day of the month, Cassul, which is the 15th day of the ninth Hebrew month, in the 145th year, so it's the 145th year, they set up the abomination of desolation upon the altar and built idol altars throughout the cities of Judea on every side. Now here's a note to that verse. This happened in 167 BC, my people, the 15th day of Edom, which is the ninth month of the Hebrew calendar. Now the precept to determine what month this was is the precept for the ninth month and dedication of the temple can be found in 2 Maccabees chapter 1, verse 18, with Leviticus chapter 23, Numbers chapter 29, 2 Chronicles chapter 7, verse 8 through 11, and 1 Maccabees chapter 4, verse 54. And other scriptures you can read about the abomination of desolation is in First Maccabees chapter 1 verse 20 through 64, Second Maccabees chapter 5 verses 1 to 27, and chapter 6 verse 1 to 31. Also the book of Daniel chapter 8 verses 11 through 14 and chapter 12 verse 11. Also again note that Antiochus prevented the Israelites from keeping the covenant, takes away the daily sacrifice, defiled the holy temple, commanded all to become one people by obeying their laws, and commanded all to worship the Greek gods. Those that did not obey were put to death, and some was tortured, which is evident in 2 Maccabees chapter 7, verses 1 to 42. And when you read that chapter, my people, you're going to cry. Because believe it or not, it's going to happen again. When this last Antichrist come on the scene, it's going to be a time like never before. I highly suggest that you read the word. Look at what happened to my people. Because anyone who are in the body of Yahushua, you can go through some tribulation. And those who are not redeemed by Yahushua when he comes back, you're going to suffer greater things. Unless it was your destiny, which we call matriarchs. But those who don't believe in the word at all, you're gonna suffer great things if you don't submit to that beast and to that last Antichrist. But let me keep reading. As prophesied in Daniel chapter 7, he will fall too. So scriptures to read more about that. Read first and second Maccabees, read the first and second book of Maccabees, especially First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 10 through 15, and 20 to 63, and 40 to 42, and chapter 3, verse 29, when he takes away all the laws. Also read chapter 6, verse 1 through 16, regarding about his death. And then read 2 Maccabees chapter 5, verse 1 to 27, chapter 6, 1 through 31, chapter 7, 1 through 42, and chapter 9, verse 1 through 29, which pertain to his death. Okay, let's go to verse 32. And such as do wickedly against the covenant shall he corrupt by flatteries. But the people do know their Elohim shall be strong and do exploits. So here in this verse is Antiochus Epiphanes, okay? Now, when it said, shall he corrupt by flatteries, so the corruption by flattery is mean or cause to dissemble. There was divisions among the Israelites, for some forsake the covenant and follow the heathen ways, and others took a stand and fought against the Greek Empire and reclaimed the temple. Again, you have to read the book of Maccabees, first and second. Now, export means a notable or heroic act, like Judas, like Matthias. And you can find it in First Maccabees chapter 2, verse 1, and Judas Maccabees, etc. So we had some great heroes who rose up during that time who stood for the covenant of Yahuwah. Now let's go to verse 33. And they that understand among the people shall instruct many, yet they shall fall by the sword, and by flame, by captivity, and by spoil many days. So day in this verse is pertaining to the Hebrew Israelites. During this time of great persecution, many would die horrible deaths or be enslaved, but they would understand that it is better to die and be resurrected in the new kingdom than to die and go to hell. And you can find that in Hebrews chapter 11, verse 35, and First Maccabees chapter 6 and 7. Now let us go to 34. Now when they shall fall, they shall be hoping with a little help, but many shall cleave to them with flatteries. So again, this verse, they is the Hebrew Israelites. Far as flatteries, the Hebrew Israelites receive a lot of false promises or broken covenants from the kings of the Greeks. Okay, and that's even like today, how they doing us, the Gentiles. Verse 35. And some of them of understanding shall fall, to try them and to purge and to make them white, even to the time of the end, because it is yet for a time appointed. So some of them is referring to the Hebrew Israelites, and they shall fall. Okay, the Hebrew Israelites who have understanding of these prophecies shall fall, and they gonna be tried by them who are the Gentiles, okay, who have also cleaved to my brother kingdom Esau, and they're gonna be purged and to make them white, okay. Now the time of the end is dealing with the end of Esau world, which we ought to read that verse. And again, it's the second Ezra chapter 6, verse 8 through 9. And the time appointed, and we go back and retract. It said, and to purge. Sorry about this. Okay, and to purge and to make them white. So through this tribulation that we've been going through as a nation since 70 A.D., it will make us refined as gold, make us holy and acceptable. I think it's Zechariah chapter, I want to say it's chapter 13, verse 8 through 9. So we're going to be purged and tested of our faith, especially being a believer in Yahushua HaMashiach. So when we look at word to make them white, that's what that means. We're going to be tested, my people. We're going to be refined and come out as pure gold at the end. Okay? So let's get to the point where it means because it is yet for a time appointed. That means this great persecution does end, for it was only for a certain period of time. Antiochus died in 163 BC, the 149th year of the Greeks' kingdom, as written in 1 Maccabees chapter 6, verse 16. But the revolt of the Judeans against the Seleucid Empire continued for many years until Antiochus the seventh Antiochus the seventh. I ain't gonna try to say that word because my tongue is about to twist it. Died in 129 BC. The 2300 days of Daniel in chapter 8, verse 13 to 14 started in 167 BC. The 15th day of Kisle Kisle, and was completed in 161 BC, the 13th day of Adar. And that can be found in 1 Maccabees chapter 7, verse 1 through 50, and 2 Maccabees chapter 15, verses 1 through 39. The next enemy of the Jews would be the Romans. I misread that. The next enemy of the Jews will be the Romans, which we're going through today, which led to the destruction of Jerusalem in 70 AD and the Jews fleeing into Africa. And then it also not only did we flee into Africa, but there is other parts of the world we did go into, but the majority went into Africa. Okay, let me go up higher. Later, the great affliction of Zion comes. The 400 years in the land of Arsareth, the Americas and its islands, the enslavement of the Negroes, first by the Spaniards around 1615, then by the English around 1619. Okay, so let me maybe expound on this part more. We know our great tribulation for the house of Israel began after 70 AD. Once that place was destroyed, it was on. Okay, so we've been tried and afflicted. What I'm talking about here is like a parallel to Genesis chapter 15. For when they brought my people over to Arsareth, which is America, we have been in this captivity for 400 years, just like my people have been into Egypt captivity for 400 years. And Josephus does confirm this. But it's because how he writes, it does get confusing because he talks about the 215 sojourning year of Jacob in Egypt. But if you go in another one of his books and chapters, you will find that our people was afflicted for a total of 400 years. This is why in the 1611 Bible in Exodus chapter 12, the precept that leads to about the 430 years, it'll lead to that my people was in captivity for 400 years in the book of Acts. And you can look that up on the 1611 site. So we been in this modern day Egypt, which was brought by ship as prophesied in Deuteronomy chapter 28. going into 400 years, just like my ancient ancestors. Okay. And we already read Second Esdras chapter 6, verse 18 to 19. But let me read again for this video. So bear with me, my brothers and sisters. And it said, Behold, the days come that I will begin to draw nigh and to visit them that dwell upon the earth, and will begin to make inquisition of them what they be that have hurt unjustly with their unrighteousness, and when the affliction of Zion shall be fulfilled. And the precepts are Genesis chapter 15, verse 13. And I want to read that as well. And he said unto Abram, Know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years, which can be found in Acts chapter 7, verse 6. And also that nation, okay, whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterwards shall they come out with great substance. So what happened back then to the ancient Egyptians is going to happen to my brother Edom. That's why you see me put the word in bracket for Edom there, because his kingdom going to be brought down, and he's going to receive great judgment. And any other nation who has joined himself unto him, who has partaken this act, and who has not repent, they're going to receive the same judgment. So that's why I say read the book of Obadiah, also Isaiah chapter 60, verse 8 through 9, Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 12. Other scriptures you can read dealing with the look at the departure of faith is 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 1. And also for those, there will be a great number of people who will fall into the riches of this world. And you can read that in Romans chapter 11, verse 12. So let us go to verse 36. And the king shall do according to his will, and he shall exalt himself and magnify himself above every God, and shall speak marvelous things against the Elohim of gods, and shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished. For that is determined shall be done. So the king, who is this? Who is this king? The king of the son of perdition. We think about Esau and Babylon. It's Satan. For Satan is the king of Babylon. Now I know when you go in Isaiah, it refer him as Lucifer, who is Old Day Star, and Old Day Star is reference to the planet Venus. Okay. And I am aware of the book of Nicodemus, because the book of Nicodemus said that Lucifer and Satan are two separate entities. That's something you can read and study in your spare time. But to read about that, read Isaiah 14, verses 4 to 23. Now, to read the verses about the son of perdition, because we know this is talking about the Antichrist, you can find it in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 3 to 4, John chapter 17, verse 12, and this precept is Psalm chapter 109, verse 7. Now, the same king of Tyrus, who is Satan, because he's there, and remember, Satan can take possession, okay, just like he did with Judas. He took possession of Judas before Judas went to betray Christ. And that is written in the book of John as well as the other books of the gospel. But you can read that in Ezekiel chapter 28, verse 10 through 19. That's why the scriptures tell us that we're not dealing with flesh and blood. We're dealing with principalities. And these principalities are these angels, Satan and his fallen angels. Okay. Now, I'm not talking about the 200 watchers, because right now they're bound until the day of judgment. But remember in the word that Satan and his fallen angels are given to be rulers unto the other nations. And only the nation of Israel is under the rulership of Yahuwah. Okay? The sun is Edom, the ruling nation of the earth. So here I do need to make a correction. Edom is the kingdom under the rulership of Satan. Okay? So when you read Obadiah and 2 Esdras chapter 6, 8 through 9, and Revelation 12, 3, and then you go back and look at the prophecy of Genesis chapter 25, when you learn about Edom, you will learn that Edom has joined himself to Satan, because just like Satan tempted Christ, okay, just like he tempted Christ and offered him kingdoms, now he bow down, worship him. The same has happened to my brother Edom. Same thing that happened with Cain. He joined himself to Satan too. When you read the first and second book of Adam and Eve. All right. So in this earthly realm right now, Satan is ruling until Christ come back. So right now, he is the spiritual or slash angelical being over these kingdom. That's why wickedness still prevail in this earthly realm. So the king of the kingdoms of Edom is Satan. Okay. The ruling country of today is America. It is the captor of the captives because they holding the Israelites here. Okay. And you can look in our history, especially with Marcus Garvey. He tried to take us back into Africa, but that was stopped. You see how Martin was assassinated. You see how what's the other one? I think it's gonna come to my mind. But you see how many of our great leaders was assassinated. And it's not only by the hands of our people, but believe me, trust me, the government is behind on it too. Do not be deceived. And also Malcolm X, that's the one I was thinking about. Okay. I believe that he was getting closer and closer to the truth about who we really were. That's why he started putting himself away from Islam. But he was killed before that time could be revealed. Let's keep this moving. All right, the ruling country today is America, which is the captor of the captives who are holding the true Israelites today. Daniel 11:36-34 confirms why America is an extension of the Roman Empire. It is a country that serves Satan because you can look on your monies. Look at the images. The pyramid, which stands for Egypt. The eagle, which is the inside of Rome. Okay. America is the when you read Ezekiel chapter 26, look at verse 27. Its precept is Revelation 18:9. For America is the merchant of merchants, just like ancient Tyre. And Ezekiel chapter 28:10-19 and verse 12. The king of, I'm referring back to the king of Tyrus was Satan. When you read that. So America is just like Tyrus and we receive the same faith. Okay. America, the mystery Babylon, because if you know anything about Edom, Edom in Psalms 137 is the daughter of Babylon, just like the Israelites are the daughter of Zion. Okay. See the parallel between the two? Complete opposite. That's why it's important for you to understand the prophecies between Esau and Jacob. Okay, America, the mystery Babylon, the mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abomination of the earth, and the woman that sitteth upon the beast. Read Revelation 7:18, Ezekiel chapter 26, verse 27, and precept for Revelation chapter 18, verse 9. Also write this down, my people. Read Jeremiah chapter 18, verse 14. I think it's 14 through 21, because when he said you no longer that he's Yahuwah said that the nations would no longer know him by as the Elohim that delivered his people out of ancient Egypt, but they would know him as the Elohim that delivered his people out of the north. And if you know anything, America is one of the countries that is in the northern part of the earth, because this is where they holding the majority of us captives. Because right now America is the ruling nation. This is why they're powerful, because they have the children of Israel, and the other countries know this. And pretty soon they're gonna hate her and destroy her. Okay, let me get back on track. So the second beast of Revelation 13 is America, and America has all the power like Rome. America is modeled after the Romans and the ancient Egyptians, but serves a different God. They're more about the God of truth. They're more about riches, wealth, and they look at more powers in their military. And believe me, my people, they are heavily equipped. They got some bad weapons. See all these movies that we see about different weapons? A lot of time movies can give you the truth. A lot of those weapons exist to this day, my people. When we keep reading about America, so the beast is America that healed the deadly wound, and that deadly wound is Rome. And then you can read that in Revelation chapter 13, verse 11-15. Okay, so let's go to verse 11. And I Oh, okay. This is done with Revelation chapter 13, and I'm going to read verse 11. And I beheld another beast coming out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. And he exercised all the power of the first beast before him, and caused the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose daily wound was healed. And he do a great wonder, so that he maketh fire come down from the heaven on the earth in the sight of men. And one of the examples of that is the Hiroshima bomb. Okay. And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image. And that's how we got the white image of Yahushua HaMashiach, because they followed behind the Romans and they told the whole world that this is your Jesus. Which actually, if you read Revelation chapter 13, Daniel chapter 7, and Daniel chapter 10, you will find out that Yahushua did not have straight hair or white skin. He is a Negro who has brown/black skin, who has woolly hair. Okay? Learn the characteristic of the Mashiach, because when this Antichrist come, he's going to deceive a lot of people. And the people he deceived because they don't know the word, they don't study the word, and they don't have the Holy Spirit dwelling in them. And my people, stop being so lukewarm, saying, well, color doesn't matter. No, the truth matter. And if you are a child of Yahuwah, you would stand for truth, no matter who feeling it hurts. It's about truth, for the word said, what the truth shall set you free. Let us keep going. And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image. And that image is Caesar Bozay, okay, which had the wound by a sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Christianity was forced upon my people, the Hebrew Israelites, and many were slaughtered in the name of the English and Spanish God, Jesus. This is why for us who have studied, we go back to the Hebrew word. Now, for those who do not have to understand it, you are under grace. But as you begin to walk with the Most High and seek out his whole truth, eventually you too, you're going to learn to call upon his true name in Hebrew. Okay? So right now you're under grace. Research the history of the Negro and the so-called Native American, Mexicans, and other tribes of Israelites. So when you look at these countries, start looking at the indigenous people and look at the history of how they got there. Because Second Ezra chapter 13 would let you know how some of my people got over here into Osiris, because some of them came over here before we was brought as slaves over here. And that can be evidenced in their relics and the language they used to speak. Okay? And he calls all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand and in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he had that mark, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Okay? We know that number is 66. Now, this is to give you a precept about the indignation is accomplished in verse 36, Daniel chapter 8, verse 19. And he said, behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last indignation, what shall be in the last end of the indignation. And indignation means righteous anger. Okay? For at the appointed time, the end shall be. And that's an error on that part. I need to scratch that line out. But I do know when whoever is alive and see Christ, they are that best generation that sees him. They are the ones who will not see death and be able to witness all these things that come to pass. Verse 37. Neither shall he regard the God of his fathers, nor the desire of women, nor regard any God, for he shall magnify himself above all. He is the king of Babylon. Okay. And the God of his fathers, they serve. When you studied the Greeks and the Roman gods, those were the gods of his father. And not that he gonna have desire for women, so he's gonna be a homosexual. Remember, Satan and his followers are the opposite of Yahuwah and his children. Verse 38. But in his estate shall he honor the God of forces, and a God whom his fathers knew not shall he honor with gold and silver and with precious stones and pleasant things. So as you see, we're coming out of the prophecies that pertain to the north and south kings, and now we're coming more up to date to the modern prophecies because we're in the Roman kingdom. So his estate is pertaining to, like I said, based on what I researched so far, I got America, and America is the head in the middle of the three heads on the eagle that's written in 2nd Ezra chapter 11, verse 4 and verse 29 through 35. Also chapter 12, verse 23 to 28. God of forces mean troops or munition. In Hebrew, it's mazin, and munition means material used in war, such as weapons and ammunition. And we know the word God means guad or agad, which represents money or power. Honor his dignity with means riches and wealth, such as gold, silver, precious stones, and things desired, pleasant things. Read Isaiah chapter 65, verse 11 to get more insight about what troop is. For another word for troop is Gad, and another word for number is Menai. Okay? Because you can look at our money and see that America is not about serving Yahuwah. Verse 39, thus shall he do in the most strong holds with a strange God, whom he shall acknowledge and increase with glory, and he shall cause them to rule over many, and shall divide the land for gain. So this king of Babylon, right now I have America, is the he in this word. A strange God is dealing with the worship of money and power, paper money. He does not worship the gods of the Greeks and the Roman. Far as glory pertaining to this verse, when it says increase with glory, that means the nation looks to America as the land of riches, which includes knowledge and technology, the country that give honor and praise to. The country that they give honor and praise to. Them in this verse, that when he said he shall cause them to rule over many, them, the U.S. government, the Senate, the House of Representatives, the Supreme Court, state courts, governors, etc. And then it said, and shall divide the land for gain. So we know America is divided up by states. But also I'm thinking about another thing that's been happening in the news in the past. They've been talking about dividing the land of Israel with the United Nations. That's something to think about too. All right, let's keep going. Verse 40, because I want to get y'all to that special treat. And at the time of the end shall the king of the south push at him, and the king of the north shall come against him like a whirlwind, with chariots and with horsemen and with many ships. And he shall enter into the countries and shall overflow and pass over. So the time of the end, I need to make a correction on that one. So let's skip over that. Let's see here. Excuse me on this part, my brothers and sisters. So let's read the part that's dealing with the great tribulation in the time of the last Antichrist, that's done in 3.5 years or 42 months. So in Daniel chapter 7, verse 21, I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High, and the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. Revelation 13:5. And there was given to him a mouth, speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months, or to make war. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against Yah, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints, and to overcome them, and power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world. Okay. Let me read Revelation chapter 12, verse 14. And to the woman were given two wings of a great eagle, that she might flee into the wilderness, into her place, where she is nourished for a time, and times, and half a time, from the face of the serpent, which is about 42 months or 3.5 years. And read Daniel chapter 7, verse 25. And the wilderness, read Isaiah chapter 64:10, because the wilderness does pertain to the true Jerusalem, which is in Telluride, Israel. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood, and after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away the flood. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth. So we know flood is really pertaining to an army that will go after the woman in the earthly realm. So read Isaiah chapter 59, verse 19 to see why army means flood. And the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of Yah, and have the testimony of Yahushua HaMashiach. So the remnant of her seed, right here, I did put here the children of Israel. So remember, the woman represents the nation of Israel. So within the nation of Israel, we do have Gentiles cleaving to us. We're actually taking a hold to the covenant too. Okay. So when Christ come back, I'm not gonna say how things gonna go, because I can only tell you what the word tell you, or what I really do know. But I feel like this: I know when Christ come back, he gonna be dealing with three groups of people. He gonna be dealing with the bride, who will be redeemed from the church. That's the spiritual temple of Yahuwah, which is the church, or the body of Yahushua. He can also be dealing with the 144, but will also be redeemed from the earth. And that's in Revelation 7, chapter 14 and chapter 15. And he's going to be dealing with the remnant, the chosen remnant, that's supposed to go back into the Holy Land. And I just think about ancient Egypt, because even we had Gentile nation coming out behind us. So it's going to be very interesting to see what truly happens, my people, when he comes back. And you can read about him doing that part in Isaiah chapter 11 and 2nd Ezra chapter 13. And right now, my mind, with my spirit's telling me to say Jeremiah chapter 3, verse 14, because that's dealing with the gathering in the earthly realm too, as well as Ezekiel chapter 20, verse 33 to 44, and chapter 21, verses chapter 36, verses 21 to 38. I may have it backwards. It's either Ezekiel 36 or Ezekiel 21, but right now it's Ezekiel 36, verses 21 to 38. So him retaining that verse, we're looking at as being the king of Babylon. Right now, some of us think it's the president of the United States. But I'm just going to give you the verses, because we know we're going to keep praying and seeking the Most High, because we know he's going to be revealed, this last Antichrist. Isaiah chapter 14, verse 4 to 23, and 1 John chapter 2, verse 18, and chapter 4, verse 3. Note, in Isaiah chapter 14, verse 1 through 3, Yahuwah's people will be set free first before the king of Babylon and America receive her judgments. And I truly believe that before this Antichrist, this last Antichrist fully reign, we're going to be delivered. We are. So that's why I told you, no matter what happened, my people, you need to have faith. You need to believe in the resurrection, because even if they kill us, Christ is going to bring us back. He's going to bring us back alive. Okay? So America is going to receive her judgment. The name of Babylon cut off can be found in Isaiah chapter 14, verse 21 through 23, and also read chapter 11, verses 11 through 16, and Ezekiel chapter 20 to 33 to 44. Now for the king of the south. The king of the south is dealing with the king of Arabia, Yemen, and Egypt, and what we read before when we talked about Queen Sheba, because she did rule Egypt and Yemen. And Yemen is known as Sheba, and Sheba is South Arabia, the kingdom of Saba, the home of the Sabaeans. The country of Sheba was called Arabia Felix by the Romans, but today Sheba is called Yemen. Its capital is Marib. Today it's called Sana'a, which was found by Shem, Noah's son. The king of the south, Egypt and Arabia, is one of the three heads of the eagle in 2nd Ezra chapters 11 and chapter 12 that would be conquered by the king of the north. Okay? In 2nd Ezra chapter 12 verses 23 through 28 and Daniel chapter 11 verses 42 to 43. Now, dealing with the king of the north, whoever he is, he's going to be a ruler of Russia. Okay? And we know Russia is dealing with the land of Magog. Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, the prince of the chiefs, or the angel of the kings / president / ruler, Meshech, Turkey. Okay, Meshech, which is Turkey, and Tubal, which is Spain and Portugal. Read Revelation chapter 20, verse 8, and Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 2, and chapter 39, verse 1. The Antichrist, you can find more information about that in 1 John chapter 2, verse 18, and 1 John chapter 4, verse 3. And the king of the north is one of the three heads of the eagle in 2nd Ezra chapter 11 and chapter 12 that would be saved for the last to be destroyed. So you can read more about that in 2nd Ezra chapter 12, verse 23 to 28, and Daniel chapter 11, verse 40 to 43. And in that verse, it said that he shall enter into the country. So the king of the north, I had put king of Russia, but that's what I'm talking about. The king of the north shall invade and conquer many countries. So this king, you can find more about him in Revelation chapter 20, verse 7 through 8, and Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 2, and chapter 39, verse 1. As far as the Antichrist, again, I'm not going to read that scripture again because I said it before, so you just pause the screen and write those down. And the gathering of the conquered countries can be found in Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 1 through 6, and which I'm going to read below. And the word of Yahuwah came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against God, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him. So, I know that's dealing with an angelical being. So, that's the prince of the chief, the angel of the rulers. The angel is Satan. The land of Magog, I'm looking at Russia. And we can see some things going on with Russia today in the news. And say, Thus saith Yahuwah Elohim, Behold, I am against thee, O God, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thy army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even with a great company, with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords, which is a precept to Ezekiel chapter 39, verse 2. Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya, or Puth, Phut, with them, all of them with shield and helmet. Gomer and all his bands, the house of Tergamah of the north quarters, and all his bands, and many people with thee. Be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee. Be thou a guard unto them. Verse 31. We're getting there for that mystery, my people. Bear with me. Verse 31, he shall enter also into the glorious land, and many countries shall be overthrown. This is done with the king of the north. But these shall escape out of his hand, even Edom, Moab, and the chief of the children of Ammon. Okay? He is the God, the prince of the chiefs, which is in Revelation 20, verse 8. Precept Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 2, and 39, verse 1. Satan, the angel of the chiefs, the Antichrist. Now, the glorious land in this verse is Israel. Hand in this verse means power. Okay, and you can get further meaning of what hand mean by reading Exodus chapter 3, verse 20, and Ezekiel chapter 20, verse 33 through 34. Now, the glorious land in this verse pertains to goodly land, as far as in Hebrew, land of delight or ornament. So we know that's dealing with Israel. And Daniel 11, chapter 16, it said, But he that cometh against him shall do according to his own will, and shall none stand before him, and he shall stand in the glorious land, which by his hand shall be consumed. So I'm just giving you another verse to compare what glorious land is, so we know that's Israel. Countries not overthrown. So these are the countries not overthrown. You got Edom and Moab and the chief of the children of Ammon, The chief is ruler or king. That's what chief means. Verse 42. He shall stretch forth his hand also upon the countries, and the land of Egypt shall not escape. Now, here in this verse is God, the prince of the chief, which is Satan, the angel or ruler of the chief, the anti-Mashiach. Hand in this verse mean power, and country not to escape in this verse would be Egypt. Verse 43. But he shall have power over the treasure of gold and of silver, and over all the precious things of Egypt, and the Liberians and the Ethiopians shall be at his steps. He in this verse again is dealing with Gog, who is the prince of chief. This is the last Antichrist. Now, as far as Egypt in this verse is dealing with the Libyans and Ethiopians would be under his rulership. And read Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 5. So at his steps means that they're gonna be near his place. And the first beast in Revelation 13, which is Rome, also known as the Roman Catholic Church, is the chief of the beasts. Read Revelation 13, verse 1 to 10. Rome prince is Satan, my people. Also, the start of the anti-Mashiach control over wealth with buying and selling in America will be continued by him to the end. The second beast in Revelation 13, which is pertaining to America, which is the mystery Babylon, the woman on the beast that causes the world to worship the beast, and Rome, Rome, which is the deadly womb. In Revelation 13:11, and I beheld another beast come out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon, and he exercised all the power of the first beast before him, and causes the earth and them that dwell in to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And I'm not going to read those verses below, but just pause the screen to write down those verses in the book of Revelations. Now, power or treasures in that verse pertains to Revelation 13:6. And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand and or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, say he that have the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. So we know that's 666. Okay. So for him, when he conquers these countries, and I do need to add more to the power of treasures, he's also going to tap into those countries' wealth and control everything financially. So the number of a man, and this is some research you can do, we find that it does relate to the Roman Pope. And I cannot say that word, the V, F, and D. And when you look it up and you break what the numbers, what the letters stand for in the Roman numerals, you come to see that it's 666. Okay. And the meaning of the first word means substitute for or in place of. The second word that begins with an F means son. And then the last word that begins with a D means God. So substitute for son, or Elohim, or in place of son of God, something like that. So you can pause this screen here. Let me go back up. You can pause this screen here and write this down. So we know that the Roman Empire is joined to Satan and his fallen angels. And we know the Roman Empire is Esau kingdom, okay? Which is still prevalent to this day. So verse 44, but tidings out of the east and out of the north shall trouble him. Therefore he shall go forth with great fury to destroy and ultimately make away many. So he hears some news coming out of the east as well as out of the north, and it's going to bother him. So the news are probably about Yahuwah people dwelling safely in Jerusalem with their riches. And you can read it in Micah chapter 4, verse 1, which is precept to Isaiah chapter 2, verse 2. Also read Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 8 through 13, and chapter 36, verse 35, with the precept 28 through 13. So we know the east is Israel. For the north, I said Russia, but however, this may be the other countries of the north, or the north parts in Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 15, such as Turkey, Greece, and Spain. Okay. Him in this verse, I know it's dealing with the last Antichrist, who is God, Prince of the Chiefs. Okay. And great fury, you read about that in Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 14 through 15, because he's going to try to attack the Most High people. Now for verse 45. Here we go, my people. Then we get to the good stuff. And he shall plant the tabernacle of his palace between the seas in the glorious holy mountain. Yet he shall come to his end, and none shall help him. All right, here we go. We know he is dealing with God. The prince of the chief is basically the last Antichrist. Pause this screen to write those scriptures down, but I'm not going to read it. Now here I have a picture of Tillamook. And I'm so excited to share this with you because the Most High allowed me to find some more information about modern day Jerusalem. But let's keep going. Now, the tabernacle of his palace is the Amorite Jerusalem, called the spiritual capital of the world. The United Nations Resolution of 1947 designate this area as the International Holy City. The Amarna called is Jerusalem. The Assyrian call it Jerusalem. The Egyptian call it Yerushalmin, which means found by the god Shalem. Now, this is not the same as Salem. This is a Shalem, a god of the Amorites, meaning prosper. See how everything is lining up? For we know Satan and my brother Esau kingdom is all about prosperity, about wealth, and about troops, and about, their powers in the army. This was the site for all three major religions to make their pilgrimage to. Now, Judaism has nothing to do with the Most High. That's a man-made religion. When you serve the Most High, you're not in a religion. Okay? Totally different. We are joined to the covenant. That's what New Testament and Old Testament mean. It means Old Covenant and New Covenant. So we are joined to the Most High covenant, which is the agreement that he made with mankind. But now it's through Yahushua, for he is the mediator of us. Okay? So this site is the three major religions. This site is the three major for them to come to modern Jerusalem is the place where three major religions came to make their pilgrimage. We have Judaism, which has nothing to do with Most High, Christianity, which has nothing to do with Most High. It was invented and created by the Roman Catholic Church, okay? And Islam, which has nothing to do with Most High. All three of them, when you research history, you can find all three of them was in battle with each other for that place. It's the court without a temple, the synagogue of Satan, which you can read in Revelation chapter 2 and Revelation chapter 11, verse 2, and Revelation chapter 2, verse 9, and Revelation chapter 3, verse 9. Okay? The contrast is the Hebrew Israelite called the Jebusite Jerusalem Salem. So that's a big difference. In Hebrew, it said Shalem. That's another way they would say it. But Salem means the city of peace. Read Genesis chapter 14, verse 18, Hebrews chapter 7, verse 2, Psalms chapter 76, verse 2. Salem is derived from the word shalom, which is peace. Another name for the Israelite Jerusalem was Ariel, which can be found in Isaiah chapter 29, verse 1. Now, for the word seeds in that verse of 45, it pertains to the Mediterranean Sea and the Dead Sea or salt. Okay? Glorious holy mountain in that verse pertains to goodly in Hebrew, mountain of delight of holiness. Read Ezekiel chapter 28, verse 11 to 19. Remember, all the five kings of the Amorite dwell in the mountains, and you can find it in Joshua chapter 10, verse 5 through 6. So all five kings of the Amorites dwell in the mountains and within the borders of Edom, which is the four rivers. Genesis chapter 2, verse 10 through 14. There were several holy mountains, such as Mount Sinai, Mount Horeb, Mount Zion, Mount Ebal, which can be found in Joshua chapter 8, verse 30 through 31. We have Mount Gerizim, which is in Joshua chapter 8, verse 33. and Deuteronomy chapter 11, verse 29, and 27, verse 12 to 13, etc. Today, the Jewish call their holy mountain Temple Mount. Remember, that is in modern Jerusalem, which was the noble sanctuary by the Sunni Muslims. In 637 AD, the Arabs defeated and took the city from the Byzantine Empire. So the Byzantine Empire is a part of Romans, and remember, the Romans represent Christianity. The Arabs represent Islam, and the Jewish people of today, which are the converts, represent Judaism. Okay? Now, Israel is holy land, which you can be found in Josiah chapter 5, verse 15, that was defiled by the Canaanites with their abominations and wicked acts. Okay? So here is the juicy part I would like to share with you about modern day Jerusalem. Now I want to go back to this picture here so you can understand why this Jerusalem is not the true Jerusalem, why this Jerusalem here that you see is not where Mount Zion is. Now, those who follow me on Facebook would know that they have been trying to remove this post from me several times, but all praises to the Most High that I was always able to get it back up and going because they don't want you to know the truth. Now, this is my sister picture by Annie Sipwell. It's by Annie Sip Blackwell, okay, about the two Jerusalem. And the modern day Jerusalem that we see today is located in the north, but our true Jerusalem of the Jebusites is located in the south. I'm not going to read this picture word for word, but what I will do, I'm going to minimize it where you can see it a little more better. All right. Let me go back. Where you can see this a little more better and you can see the difference. So those who follow me on Facebook, here's a picture of our true Jerusalem in the south over here. And here's a picture of their Jerusalem, of modern day Jerusalem. And you're probably thinking what's going on. So let me get straight to the point about this. I hate when this happens. This thing's so sensitive. Bear with me, fam, because we getting through this lesson. And I do apologize for it being a little long, but I have to share with you what the Most High showed to me about Jerusalem. And I do thank my brother Hashur for what he's done. Now, I don't agree with everything with my brother Hashur on some of his actions, but I do thank him for sharing with the world about the true Jerusalem. Okay? Because everything is done according to the Most High. So it's taking a little while. I'm trying to get to the sayings over here. Here we go. So modern day Jerusalem is Elio Capitone, which is where you can find Calvary. Now, Tel Israel is where the true Mount Zion and the true Jerusalem is, which is the city of David or tabernacle of David. And I'm going to be real quick from what I found in my research. Now, you're probably thinking that Calvary was in Jerusalem, but actually it wasn't. When you go back and read the scripture, it's only said a city. It only said a city. It does not specify the city. So when you find where the house of Pilate is, you will find where Calvary was. So I got some pictures to show you. They had actually found the governor of Pilate house somewhere in modern day Jerusalem or near modern day Jerusalem. Because when you go back to the history of King Herod, who built many palaces throughout the land of Israel, he built several palaces in the land of Jericho. And before him, the Maccabees had built some palaces and / synagogues in that area too. Okay. Also, they found the ancient ruins of Elio Capitone that is underneath the Temple Mount. And when they say the Holy Sepulchre of church that's underneath that church is where Constantine and his mother found Calvary and 3 crosses. So in your spare time, you're going to have to get on Wikipedia because I know we talk about the Holy Sepulchre Church. It gives you more information. But I'm trying to keep this video short and just show you the pictures that I have so you can see. So this is where the two witnesses would come. They would come to modern day Jerusalem. Because think about it, they got to prophesy to somebody. They have to inflict plagues, right? And we know modern day Jerusalem is spiritually Egypt, because it has the whole world in bondage, especially financially. They control everything. They control the banks, the money, the news, everything, the Jewish people. And they are also spiritually Sodom, because they don't keep the covenant. They follow the Talmud. They don't follow the covenant of the Most High. And they allow homosexuality in the land. They had gay parades, all kinds of stuff. So those who find me on Facebook, I have articles showing you proof about them finding Edom Capitolia, and this comes from their site, okay? Underneath Temple Mount, and then I have articles explaining about the wickedness of how they allow sodomy in the land, okay? Scroll down a little bit. That is a quote. And I'm not going to read that. I just let you're going to have to pause the screen and you read that yourself. But I'm trying to save some time because I want you to really get this. And then those who had the King James 11 research all the scriptures that pertain to Pilate when they brought Yahushua to him, and then you will learn that they took him out of Jerusalem. They went up somewhere where modern day Jerusalem is, which is near Jericho, and that's where they tried him. So when you read those verses, when it said a city without gate, it never specified the city, because all cities within the land of Israel had gates. Think about it. That every city had a gate or walls to protect the city from enemies from invading it. So like I'm doing here, you just gonna have to pause the screen and just read all of this of what I have so far. And keep in mind, this is an ongoing research that I'm doing, but I know what I'm saying is correct. Okay, because wherever Calvary is, this is where the two witnesses would go and prophesy. So it makes more common sense for them to go to modern day Jerusalem. All right, and then the true Jerusalem is the place where the Most High people would go, the ones that He chose to go in that land. It makes a whole lot of sense. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out of this screen here and show you the other pictures to save time of what I have, because I've been doing, like I said, a lot of research with this. So you see the picture of Temple Mount. That's a picture. That's a picture where they had a cross at under the Holy Sepulchre Church, and that's in modern day Jerusalem. This is a picture here of the map of Edom Capitolia. And where you see Temple Mount today, that's where the temple of Jupiter is. It's underneath that city, my people. Okay. And FYI, Temple of Aphrodite also means Temple of Venus. And we know Venus represents Odesar, which is Lucifer. Okay. And Satan always like to copy the Most High, because when you study the stars in the constellation, Jupiter represents the king planet. So when Christ was born in the star of Bethlehem, Regulus is the royal star / chief star in the Leo constellation for Yahushua. And when he was born, that star of Jupiter entered into that constellation, was circling around, because he was announcing that his son was entering into the kingdom of heaven. That's why he said that these stars, the sun, the moon, will be signs in the heavens, because he does send us messages in the heaven, my people. So this research about the star of Bethlehem, look up Regulus and Jupiter. Okay. Also look at Revelation 12. Again, it's dealing with what the woman in Revelation 12, the sign for that in the heaven is called Virgo, and Virgo is mean virgin or maiden. And the things I'm sharing with you is not dealing with what is not paganistic. See what the heathens do, they do the opposite. See, they don't understand the Most High and His heavens and what the heavens are saying. Instead, they do the opposite. They begin to worship His creations. But the children of Yahuwah don't do that. For we know, as according in Genesis chapter 1, verse 14, that we know that the sun, the stars, the moons are for signs, for seasons, for days and years. Okay? So let's go to the next picture I want to show you. This is a old map before they start, building and adding on here. Let's see, we'll just go down for me a little bit. This is where Temple Mount is today, and then you see the Dome of the Rock. That's where the Muslims also built their dome. Okay, and then when you come over here, this is where the Holy Sepulchre Church is, and underneath this church is where Calvary is. All right, let's keep going. Here is a picture of this guy who went to the land of modern Jerusalem, and he's showing a picture of the ancient relics they found from Elio Capitone. Right here, this is what this photo did with. It said Elio ruins found underneath modern Jerusalem. And I'm not going to read all of this, but that's what he took. And it's also an article in the Israeli or the Israeli Havit's newspaper that talks about this excavation. Okay. Here's another picture that came from that website too. Of them finding the ruins of Elio Capitone underneath. Cause I know that's the Western Wall, I believe. Okay. Yeah, because that they go the dome right there. Of them finding ancient relics of Elio Capitone. So basically what they did, they built on top of it. That's what they did. And it's amazing how the Most High worked things out, where when Hadrian came into play in about 130 AD or 130 to 135 AD, that he built his city actually in the wrong location. And it's amazing how the Most High protected it. It's just amazing. Trying to get I think my computer's running a little slow now. Okay. Also, you need to learn about the true border of Israel, because when you learn about the true borders, you learn that our border, especially in the southern part, comes a little far out, because once this picture focus, I hope it will focus. Over here is Edom. So our border actually come a little further out, because it's going to meet unto what? Petra. Okay. Also going to meet unto Kadesh Barnea, which is located in the wilderness of Paran. Now Petra Kadesh is located in the wilderness of Zin, and and also there's another Kadesh located in Galilee. So my people, when you study the Bible, when they have multiple words, you have to make sure that the word you're reading is dealing with a particular location, because there's many names, there's many places with the same names. So to make this short, our border actually come out unto Edom, because remember in the law that he didn't give us the land of Eden, but our borders met unto the borders of Eden. Then you see it take a little dip and go all the way down to the river of Egypt, which also another word is the river of Sihor, Sihor. Okay. And I got this from Bible.ca. Now, I do agree with them about the borders, but I do not agree with them about the true exodus route. And I will post a link about the true Mount Sinai and the true exodus route. So, because it's very important that you learn this stuff, because what we're finding out now that Edom has done a lot of manipulation and changes to the truth. And now the Most High is bringing out his truth in these last days about everything now. Okay. All right. Next thing I want to bring out, here's a picture of our true holy city in Tel Aviv, Israel. That was a picture I did to measure the distance, because you're going to see why pretty soon why I'm bringing this up. This is why I'm bringing this up right here. Remember I told you how the Greeks and the Romans operate with province? When you do your research, you will find that The true holy city, which is the city of David, known as Mount Zion, also known as Jerusalem, is in the middle of Judea, as written and confirmed by Josephus. Okay, so when I measure this out from this border to the lower border, it evens out, because remember, our borders come all the way out here. Okay, and our holy city is like the navel of the province Judea. Okay, now this here is the province of Samaria, from that border down to here, and up higher is the province of Galilee. All right, especially when you get to the Romans, because they like to divide land into provinces, just like today in the United States, they divide these states into provinces. You see how much stuff don't change? Don't change. And also, modern day Jerusalem is in this area, because this is where the 5 Amorite kings were. And then Tel Arad today, I always look for this little piece right here. It's going to be here. Tel Arad, Israel, which is the true city of David that's lying in ruins. So modern day Jerusalem is way up here. As you can see, it's not in the middle of Judea. It's way up north. And I was in the south. And it is the navel, in other words, the center of the province Judea. Okay? That's something very important to know. Let's see here. What else I would like to show you. And that's basically it for right now. I know this was a lot of information. And I'm not saying I have everything like perfect and correct, but I'm trying to give you an idea where the Bible lines up with history, as well as with today's time. And we seeing that these prophecies are unfolding before our eyes. So you know what that means? The Bible is true, it's real. So those who have not received salvation, as written in Romans chapter 10, verse 8 through 13, and are baptized in his name, you are damned. And I don't know about you, I don't want my soul to be lost and go to the eternal lake of fire, which is hell. And I want to be in a righteous kingdom. Now I know this wicked kingdom is going to be destroyed, so I don't want to be joined to this kingdom. So this is why it is so important for us to preach the gospel to all nations, that the kingdom of heaven is at hand. For Christ is coming back, my people. Yahushua HaMashiach is coming back. And we know this is the season, for these are the last days based on the sign. And time is winding down. We do not have long. So this is why I'm on Facebook, I'm on YouTube, preaching as hard as I can, trying to get your attention, because this is no joke. This is serious. So let me just be quiet now, and so this video can end, because I don't want to be too long. But please share these videos with your families, with your friends, even with strangers, because what's coming now in this earth is no joke. See, my people have already experienced a tribulation. And I'm going to be honest, looking at this, studying the history of my people makes me even wake up and realize I don't want to go through another great tribulation, something worse than this tribulation that my people is going through. So that would woke me up. I don't want to go through that. All right, fam. I love you, and shalom.